Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to Hangin' With. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you go on down there and hit subscribe for us. If this is your first time, thanks for hanging with us. We are hanging at ReCon 2016, hosted by the Historical Miniature Game Society. The South Chapter, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year here at the International Palms Resort on world famous International Drive in Orlando, Florida. And we are hanging right now with Webb Pierce, who is the treasurer of the organization, right, Webb? And we're hanging with Brian Dalrymple. And Brian is the owner of the Adventure Game Store and the Dragon's Lair, is that correct? Okay. Wow, I got cards that tell me everything about you guys, and there's a lot to tell. So why don't we start, Webb, let's start with you.
Okay.
You are the Saga Tournament Game Master coming up at the Fall Convention, is that right?
That's correct. Our ReCon convention in 2016 at the end of September, I will be running a Saga tournament.
Wow, fantastic. Tell us a little bit about the Saga game.
Saga game is basically a game that takes place within the 300 period of medieval history between 900 and 1100 AD.
Okay.
Vikings are included, Anglo-Danes, Saxons, the Romans in the form of Byzantines are there, Saracens, Crusaders. It's a lot of interesting time periods in history. It's a very nice game, does take a lot of miniatures to play it, plays quickly. Beginners are learn it very fast, and it's just a lot of fun.
Wow, that's terrific. And so the tournament's coming up this fall.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is the rules that we're
the
looking
rule
at
book.
here.
It's the original rule book. Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit. What are the basic rules of Saga?
The basic rules have to do with movement. You have a battle board. You roll dice, and you have certain abilities depending on the warband that you pick. The Byzantines, for instance, have certain abilities that they can do which mirror their historical style of fighting.
Okay.
The Vikings have theirs. You have to be aggressive when you're Viking because the Vikings were aggressive, and then things improve their style of play.
If you learn nothing else while you're watching the show today, folks, Vikings were aggressive.
They're aggressive in the game.
Yeah,
if you don't play them that way, you will lose.
There you go. Okay, so now, how did you guys how did you guys get started in the gaming community? As players, as designers, how did you guys get started? What drew you to this community?
Well, I liked history. I always have. My first degree is in history. I did my thesis paper on the Roman Emperor Heraclius. But I loved history. I loved watching movies on TV about history when I was a boy. I started playing with miniatures when I got in a gaming group when I was 19 in college. And it just continues on.
Wow.
So it's a
lot
of fun.
Fantastic. And you?
I got started playing role-playing games as a teenager.
Okay.
And I was brought to my first gaming convention by an old-school Vietnam veteran historical war gamer. And it was a convention run by the group that runs this one.
Okay.
Prior to the formation of HMGS South.
All right.
And I was exposed to historicals as a teenager and having played a lot of fantasy games. I like the way that they played. I like the price point on the figures. I like to see the big battle setup and the great setup that we
Now
see.
the figures, that's one of the things that drew our attention when we were walking around the floor. And you brought some with you here.
Right.
I'm going to grab some photos of these to put up on the screen afterwards. These are amazing. Now, is this something that you buy? Is this something that you make? This is fantastic.
You buy the figures. They're made all over the world. Different companies make them. This particular figure you have here is made, I don't want to give plugs, but
by all means.
Made by Gripping Beast.
Okay.
You have to research these. They don't come with painting guides necessarily. So you actually have to research. This one's a Seljuk Turk.
Okay.
So what do Seljuk Turks' uniforms look like? Well, they have no uniforms. They wear bright colors, dull colors. Well, they wear bright colors actually.
Okay.
So you do research. These are some Roman.
So these come. They're not all decorated like
no,
this.
they're plain silver.
Just
plain silver.
Plain silver. Okay.
You got to clean their bases. You got to mount them. You have to prime them. You have to paint them.
Who prepared these?
I did.
You did. You made all of these.
These
okay.
are mine.
So this guy right here, he comes. This is just a plain silver shell of a man, as it
correct.
were. And you add the Viking color and this is.
Well, you guessed right. He is Viking, but he's working for the Roman Emperor.
Okay. So what distinguishes him now? I noticed Viking from the shield,
Right.
and the helm, which is pretty almost Viking.
Right.
Ish. What distinguishes this one as an employee of the Romans?
You'd have to look at his tunic, which you can't hardly see on this particular
We're going to
figure.
spin this up, by the
Right.
way, so you guys can see this figure.
But the shield is, you're right, the raven design is, but the Varangian Guard are the
Okay.
ones noted to wear that particular shield and others.
Okay.
They were Viking troops in Kiev who came down and fought for the Prince of Kiev, for the Roman Emperor, and then he hired 5,000 of them, and they kept them in Roman service. Here,
Wow.
Yep.
That-
I can go on and on. I'll bore you.
No, it was not boring at all. And to see the amazing detail, when we spin this up, you guys will see this. To see the amazing detail on this, and that it is historically accurate, that's fantastic,
Oh, yes.
man. And
We hear about it from our friends if we're not.
well, I guess that is the up and downside of being part of a community that is so versed in their
Right.
history, is that if you mess it up,
Yep,
you're
they'll
going
let
to
you
know
know.
in a hurry.
They're gonna tell you
right?
about it.
Yeah. So what do you guys got going here at this event right now? Are you players? Are you hosting any games right now? What do you got going?
I was hosting a second Seminole War game yesterday.
Okay.
We have
Now
this-
I understand they're themed to this year's conference actually, and that is
Florida through the wars.
Through the wars. So you did a Seminole, the
Second Seminole War.
second Seminole War.
Osceola, yeah.
Osceola, okay. And what do you got going here? Are you playing or are you?
We have a vendor table in the hall.
Okay.
And
Now tell us a little bit about what you guys do at the vendor table. What are you guys providing?
we bring games,
Okay.
and we bring rule sets and miniatures and dice and other accessories for the players here to add to their existing armies or to try out new games or rule sets. We're also demonstrating the Saga rules game.
Okay.
The Saga rules in the hallway. Near our table, we have a group in there that's running Normans and
Anglo-Danes.
right now.
Okay.
So Saga's it's a Dark Age rule set. Gripping Beast is one of the partner publishers that produced the game. The other partner publisher is Studio Tomahawk, which is a French company. Gripping Beast is based in Scotland.
Okay.
And the rules were written by a historian and wargamer named Alex Bouchel. And it's a fast play game that doesn't require a large investment in terms of a financial investment or time, because the armies that you're dealing with, by comparison to a lot of the other armies that are in the hall right now, are relatively small. It's a skirmish game, so the figures are individually based, like you see here.
Okay.
And you might bring a force of anywhere from a dozen to about 30 on the table, and that's what you play with. And the games are over and under now.
And now you guys provide the rules to the game.
Yes.
Okay, that are
We
published
carry
to
the
you guys.
rules, and there's
And also,
there's a bunch
now
of
you guys provide
expansions
the
for the-
pieces and
Yeah.
that kind of thing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so if
the-
he were to order the plain silver piece, he'd get that from you guys.
Generally, the metal pieces are going to come in a set. So,
Okay.
so you might get a whole army together.
Yeah.
But we also have, so there are different, in the rule set here, you can vary the capabilities of your army by choosing a different leader. for your
Okay.
army. So we carry the individual leaders.
Okay.
So if anybody's a fan of the Vikings series, Ragnar Lothbrok, who's the main character in the series, he's a piece that is used in the game, and we sell him as a
Okay, now
separate
for
piece.
players interested, say the players interested, they'll pick up this guy, okay, and he comes all plain.
Yes.
So
yes.
now, if I want to know, okay, well, how do I make my guy look? And I want him, and I want to make it as deep. By the way, the painting on this is like, do you have like is there a tiny guy that hangs out with you that does the brush strokes? Because it's really kind of cool. Is there any guidance for that from the company? Is there any guidance from that, or are you doing your research?
There are books out for certain periods. This particular gentleman here, the Byzantines were rather secretive about their stuff, and you have to go to their artwork to look at the color schemes. They'll have, like, for instance, St. Michael, but he's dressed as a cataphract. So you'll look at the paint colors that the Byzantines used on him.
And try to extrapolate.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
Okay.
there's lots of other books out there you can find on different
And is there any
periods.
guidance from the rules or anything like that on that, or is this just do the best you can?
Generally, you have to go to reference books for those, but
Okay.
there's a couple of different game publishers that produce wide ranges of books. specifically for providing the uniforms and colors for whatever period you're gaming, whether it's Dark Ages or Civil War, Napoleonics. They get into great detail about what the uniforms look like.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now with the Saga game, you guys had mentioned there are multiple for lack of a better words in gaming, teams, factions. Okay, so as players come in, do they choose their own? Is it a dice roll? Is it?
Well, typically a player will come with an army prepared,
Okay.
So they know what they're playing, what they're going in with. One of the nice things about Saga, the way that it was designed, is if you've got an army that you've chosen to work with out of the main rule set, there are other related factions that you can use your same army with in many cases.
Okay.
So that you could play one of many different factions.
Oh, I was going to say,
especially
are you limited in the number of players at a
Vikings.
table, or per se, in a game?
Typically, this game is built as a one-on-one.
One-on-one.
Okay, so it's one.
Typically,
okay,
yes.
yeah. Because I was going to say, because if you come in, I know there's so many different factions, and of course there's so many different conflicts throughout a given period in history that you could have quite a lot going on if you expand any further than just 2 players.
We ran a game at this show a couple of years ago. We reenacted the Battle of York, which I think gets covered in the Vikings series on history, where the 3 sons of Ragnar Lothbrok come to York and fight 2 Saxon kings. So we used the Saga rules to play a 5-player game where we had 3 Viking players and 2 Saxon players, and we matched up the forces, and we just adapted the rules, and it worked very easily, and it wound up being
So it's something you can
pretty
expand.
historically accurate.
You
Yeah.
can expand. Obviously, more players, more conflicts, and more time.
The tournament, though,
That's more structured.
one-on-one.
It's much more so. Okay, yeah. And okay, so now you're creating rules to the game and getting those out to players. You are obviously, when you're running a game, there's a lot of forethought that's got to go into that, a lot of creativity in your own right to making sure that you have the answers to the players' questions.
Oh, yes.
And players that you haven't met yet.
You have to do your research. You've got to know your rules inside and out.
Okay, so while you're researching and you're up or whatever, we want to get a little social. We want to let the people know who you
yes.
are, okay? You guys are up all night with these games. What's your favorite midnight snack?
Half of these things are half of this this gaming convention is social. These are our friends.
Yeah.
We see them sometimes more than once or twice a year. Sometimes
It's
they live close
fantastic.
by.
So you're up in the middle of the night, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're trying to put together your stuff for the tournament. Midnight snack. What keeps you going, guys?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Well, I'm from South Florida, so the midnight snack is a medianoche sandwich.
Yeah, maybe a
Medianoche sandwich. It's very South Florida. There you go. Okay, well, you guys are history buffs. You know your history. You have to know your history to even get near this game, apparently. Half of this boggles me, by the way. I know enough about that period to have passed my college history courses. Passed, I said. Just playing this game, I would have had to get a B or better.
Well, I told my professor, my Roman history professor, he said, "What job do you want?" I said, "Want yours." And he said, "Mr. Pierce, come up to my room." He said, "Do you have Latin?" "No, not yet, but I have my second degrees in Latin, my first is history, my third's accounting, where I make my living."
Wow.
So my clients are always...
You're an accountant?
Yes.
Okay. And you're out doing game stuff?
Yeah.
So you've made it a career?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's, somebody told me a long time ago, the luckiest person in the world is to find that thing that you love to do and find someone who will pay you to do it. And so that's amazing that you guys both get to do that. Okay, well, as history buffs, a lot of our audience is a pop culture audience. We've been traveling, doing conventions and conferences all over the country now. I love saying that. That's awesome. And we want to know. So you guys can load up in the TARDIS with the Doctor and go anywhere in history that you want. Where are you going?
Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire.
Take me to the future.
Take you to the future. Okay, you want to see what things are going to be like. Okay, because then you can look back at the past and maybe you can play this game a little bit better, right? That is fantastic. We're going to about wrap it up. Guys, thank you. These are amazing. If you have a chance, guys, if you're into gaming, if you're not into gaming, remember we have another one of these conferences coming up here in Orlando in September that is going to be hosted by our friends here at the Historical Miniature Game Society, and there will be a Saga tournament. And Webb will be the game master for that. So come on, and if you haven't played the game, learn how to play the game. If you're a big fan of the game, then this is the place for you. Okay, we're here with Brian Dalrymple. I want to make sure I don't mispronounce that. Who is the owner of the Adventure Game Store and the Dragon's Lair.
Yep.
And he can provide you with all the pieces and parts that you need to be successful at this game. And get steady up on your history, folks. Hit those college courses because you're going to need them. And but you might be able to change history themselves. Webb, thank you very much for hanging with us. Very much. We appreciate it, guys. That about wraps us up. We're going to thank again our friends at Something Unity Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, the Florida Book News, Authors for Authors, and the Wordfire Press Group. Amazing writers and stuff like that. When it comes to gaming, you guys, everybody kind of harkens their roots back to the old D&D days when gaming was becoming pop culture. Mm-hmm. And we had an opportunity to talk to Troy Dennings at Pensacon 2016, thanks to the Wordfire Press guys. And that was an amazing conversation about gaming and where it's come and how it's come up through the thing. I'm GW Pomichter, folks. We have been hanging here with Webb Pierce, the treasurer of the Historical Miniature Gaming Society. I want to make sure I always get that right. And Brian Dalrymple, the owner of Adventure Game Store and the Dragon's Lair. And remember, guys, subscribe, log on, tune in, come on back and see who we're hanging with next.